Okay, so Michelle, I have a couple of questions for you. So I want you to kind of start out with answering the questions. When did you realize that animals were reflecting yourself in other people?
So, thank you. And also, I just want to thank you for organizing this. I know what goes into it, and I'm really grateful not only for this opportunity, but everyone that's showing up today. So know that you heard the calling, the animals are calling out, and you listened. So, um, the first time I really recognized it was my horse Echo, who I had for 21 years. And as I got to know him and as he got to start unraveling me and breaking down the shield so that I could be my authentic self, I used to watch him with my students at my house. And that was really the first time I watched reflection happening. Um, and I've seen it in some of my other animals too, where they they call me out. Basically, that's what they're doing. They're calling me out and inviting me to be true, inviting me to be real, and inviting me to own my uniqueness. And all of our uniqueness is different. Um, so that's kind of Echo, where I think was the first one to really show me what that reflection with people looked like.
So can you give us an example of how an animal reflected back to you?
Yeah, I can. So the funniest story I have with Echo is Echo has always desired that anyone that's around him or is working with him be very respectful of him, to treat him like a real being, to say hi, to connect, to not just get straight into the work. And many, many years ago, we were living in the North Country, and I had my farrier coming to do his feet like he always did. But unfortunately, the farrier had actually had a brain tumor. He had surgery on it and completely clear of cancer after the surgery. But wherever it was in the brain, it completely changed his personality. It was incredible to watch the difference in this man who I'd known for quite a while. So he comes to the barn. He wants to kind of get right into the work that he wants to do with Echo. And he just had attitude, this guy. I don't even remember his name, but he had attitude. And Echo doesn't stand for attitude. And the guy was just on it. He wanted to get the feet done. He wasn't really communicative. He was kind of, he'd gone very ego. And that's not authentic. When you sit in an ego, you're not being authentic. And so he's trying to do Echo's feet, and Echo won't stand still. And I'm busy communicating with Echo, and I know exactly what's going on. And he's about to teach this man the biggest lesson of his life. And I knew it was coming, and I knew I couldn't stop it. Anyway, so he goes to pick up Echo's foot to start trimming it. And Echo backed up and pulled his foot away from the guy that was holding his foot and stomped on his boot, on his foot, so hard that this guy just went off the wall. And he's hopping. It was a bit dramatic, but he was hopping up and down the aisleway. He was swearing like crazy. Um, and he was just saying all these different things. And I looked at Echo, and Echo went, he needed it. He needed to come back to ground level, and he needed to reset himself. And if blasting out emotionally was how he was going to reset himself, then I did my job. And then, of course, the guy came back and the trim went great, and he had shifted his energy field. But that's the reflection. Echo reflected totally where this man was and said, not around me. Something needs to change. And I know he's not going to hurt anybody, but I also know that he'll stand in his authenticity and kind of demand that people respect him. So that was one of the stories. And the other one that I love is that when I had students and clients at my house, Echo would shift his energy depending on who was in front of him. So if someone was in front of him and they were kind of meek and mild, but underneath that, he could see their truth and see how wonderful they were and how big their hearts were and the gifts that they had, he would literally expand his energy to the point where he was a little frightening and overwhelming. And I got to learn what this looked like. And I would say to people, he's telling you you're not standing in your fullest power. He's asking you to reflect that back. And I would talk them through taking a breath and expanding and opening up into their fullest self and dropping into their heart. And the minute that they did that and he felt that that's where they should be, he literally, his energy would come down, he would come soft and gentle, and he would nuzzle them. So his biggest gift to everybody was seeing their truth and wanting to show them who they actually were.
Wow. Okay,
I had 21 years of this horse.
so Michele, I know you told me before that as a child you were shy, but working with animals really changed you to really step into your authentic self and feeling more confident about who you are. Can you talk about that for us?
Yeah, absolutely. So I was that child that didn't have many friends, that didn't like school, that really kind of either isolated myself or surrounded myself with animals. That was really my choice and the way that I grew up. My brother was the complete opposite. He was out on the town, he had hundreds of friends, and we were night and day different. Um, but I just enjoyed the animal energy much better than I did the people energy. And once I really understood who I was, what it was that I was so empathic that people energy became overwhelming for me, especially if I was in a crowd, and I couldn't handle it. And you're dealing with people's emotions and their energy and what's going on with them. And everyone trying to butt up against other people and who's better than who. And you've got all this other stuff that goes on with people that is not in the animal world. And when I was around the animals and the horses at the barn, there was none of that. It was peaceful and it was calm, and everyone just showed up as who they were, and there was no competition. And I just felt so comfortable. And I didn't have to speak. I didn't really talk like I am today for years. I had nothing to say, and I believe that most of what I was doing was working telepathically with the animals. I just didn't label it back then. But there was no verbal communication. It was all emotion, it was all feel. Um, and as I look back, I understand now what I was doing. But what would happen over time is that if I was anywhere that was crowded with people, so when I lived in England, I used to get the train into London for my corporate job. And every morning it was standing room only by the time it got to my station. And I get on the train, it was packed like sardines, and I would pass out every morning without fail. The upshoot of that was that I would always get a seat on the train, because once you pass out, people get out the way and they sit you down because they don't know why you passed out. But what I learned to believe it was just this overwhelming energy around me of all these people, and they're all going to work and they're stressed and anxiety. And it was just, my body went, we're out. It was just shut down. So over time, I was a corporate girl for 21 years, really good at what I did in the computer field, hated every second of it, jumped jobs every 3 to 6 months. Um, and then I got into traveling, and traveling was my happy place. And so I started to find myself within traveling, and I'm a perpetual nomad. Um, and I used to go to all these different countries all over the world. And that was my place where I could really explore. I could feel nature. I could get into culture. And that felt really good for me. And so some of the communication started to grow there, and the confidence would grow because I loved what I was doing. And then it kind of built. In 1995, I came here from England with my ex-husband. Note the ex piece. I came here with my then husband. Um, and we got settled here. And 4 years after being here, it was clear that him and I were not supposed to be together. And I made the call to end the relationship. And everything from that day forward opened doors that I could never have imagined would have opened. It took me to a place where everything was easy. All of a sudden, I was joyful and happy. I left with an empty shell in 12 years with this empty shell, and it was there to be empty so it could refill in my truth and my authentic self and the things that I wanted to do and the things that made me happy. And my life just started to unfold. And then all of the teachers that I had and the mentors that I had showed up. I never had to look for anybody to build this life that I now live. That was, 99 is when I left. And here we are 25, 26 years later. I've never had to look for anything. Everything's been presented to me. So I've also learned this whole thing of trust and belief and the magic of the mystery and living in the unknown. And for me, I learned by living in life and having the experience of life, because I'm actually quite skeptical. So life has to show me undeniably that something is true and real. And because I'm very feel oriented, I can sense things. And so when I sense something, I now can sense the truth in somebody. I can sense whether I want to hang out with somebody. I can sense whether a decision is a good one or a bad one. And it's just built over the years of me just learning to trust. And the animals keep calling me out. And so they kind of keep me on track. And as soon as I kind of shift a little bit to the left or a little bit to the right, Echo was the main one that would go, no, you need to come back into line. You need to go this route. You need to make this decision. So I've been supported and guided this whole time. And it's just been the most amazing thing coming out of corporate and living this life and then building this business. I never in a million years would have imagined that this is what I would be doing for my work.
So Michele, I love your story because it's a good example of how when we take that leap of faith and let go of what's not serving us anymore, and we do what our passion is, what we love, what we're being called to do in this lifetime, how things just fall into place because you're in alignment with yourself.
100%, 100%. And it's not hard and it's not challenging. I mean, life is challenges. We're human. We're going to get those challenges. But it's not. When you are living in your truth and standing in your own unique self, whether people like it or not, and we'll talk about that when I start the presentation, and you can just own who you are undeniably, and whatever anyone else thinks is up to them. That's their choice, right? So there's no trying to please people. And I mean, there's so much stuff we're going to get into. But yeah, and every time I question anything, I keep being told you always have everything that you need. Always, always, always. And so trusting in that process. And it makes me laugh now because I get those reminders, when things go a little quiet and I'm like, okay, universe, let's bring it in. And then all of a sudden I get reminded, but you have this right here. You'll never go without. So, it's a huge piece of getting out of the way and breaking out of the boxes that we're all taught to be in.
Great, thank you. And if anyone has any questions, just write it in chat for right now, and Michele will respond to your question. Okay, Michele, you've got the floor.
Thank you. So again, I want to thank you all for being here. And we're really going to talk a lot about how to interact with, just like show of hands, who has animals that are part of their life or were part of their life? Fantastic. Okay, perfect. So we're going to talk about, how those animals are responding and reflecting you and what that looks like. We're also going to talk about wildlife, because wildlife are also great reflectors of you and where you are and what's going on and how to work with that. Oh, and pet sitting. Yeah, absolutely. That's a great way to learn. I love those animals that come through. We're going to be doing a meditation. I'm going to introduce you to 3 of my mentors, my 4-legged mentors. 2 are in spirit now, and 1 is definitely not. And we're just going to go through, I'm going to share some stories with you that really helped me know that so much of this reflection is completely undeniable and it's real. And that's where I've learned to have confidence that even if somebody else doesn't believe in what I do, and there are plenty of people that have no belief system that you can talk to animals in any way whatsoever, and that's okay. And that was where I had to find my peace. It's not about proving anything. It's not about standing there and saying, I'm right and you're not. It's just about saying, this is who I am. This is what I do. If it works for you, great. And if it doesn't, that's okay. So we're going to go through some of that stuff. I'm really excited. We are going to do some exercises where you'll be able to respond in the chat. And then, as Melody said, about 15 minutes before we finish, there'll be just an open Q&A, and you can ask me anything. I'm really pretty transparent. I have nothing to hide. Whatever you want to know, you can ask me. That's how I've learned to share my uniqueness, but also help people to reveal their own. So let's get started. Everyone good for that? Ready for that? All right. So I have a bunch of notes. The reason I have a bunch of notes is that now I'm not shy anymore, and I've learned how to communicate and talk. I can talk for hours. So because I only have an hour, I wanted to condense it. And when I have notes, I can stick to the structure of my notes and make sure I cover everything, because there are so many stories and so many experiences that I write books so I can share all of the experiences that I've had, because there are so many and they're so amazing. So we're going to stick to this. So anytime you see me looking down, I'm just checking my notes so I can stay on track with everybody. So one of the things I wanted to start with is something called heart-brain coherence. So the Heart Math Institute and Greg Braden are really big on this. And what they've discovered is there's a direct connection between your heart and your brain, where they can come together and work together. So one is not running the show. And they've actually shown that the heart has a brain of its own, and that you can really work from your heart. So what I've learned is that the animals are heart-based. They don't have ego. They don't work from their mind. They're completely heart-based. And so they teach us how to be heart-based, because to connect with them, to communicate with them, to feel them, you can only do that from your heart and from your other natural senses. You can't do that from your mind. So we're going to start with this meditation. There's 3 steps to this meditation. One is focus, one is breath, and one is feeling. So we're going to start with creating focus, and then we're going to work on the breath a little bit, and then we're going to go into a feeling, and that's the coherence that you're bringing together. And that can happen really, really quickly. And I pulled this off a video on YouTube with Greg Braden walking through the heart coherence meditation. And that sets you up to be in the energy field of the animals, so that for the rest of what we're doing, you're in that space. So if it's comfortable for you to close your eyes, take a minute to close your eyes and just get comfortable. If you need to shift around in your chair, shift around in your chair. So closing your eyes and just begin to focus on your breath. Maybe you need to take a nice deep breath. There we go. Whoever yawned, that was great. So getting comfortable in your breath, getting comfortable in your body. Bringing your awareness from outside of yourself. So whatever your day has been, whatever your evening has been, and really start to bring yourself within. Feel yourself shifting to within you rather than outside of you. Bringing your focus into your heart center. So sometimes it's easy to connect to your heart center by either placing your hand over your heart, maybe a finger, maybe 2 fingers, just something that brings a physical connection to your heart. And that helps you drop in easier. So maybe you want to tap, whatever works for you to bring that heart connection. And then we're going to shift to the breath. So with breathing, when you want to relax and drop into your heart, your exhale is always longer than your inhale, and it helps to reset your nervous system. So we're going to be breathing in for 4 and out for 6 while keeping that connection to your heart center. So taking a nice deep breath and exhale. And then on your next inhale, inhale for the count of 4, 2, 3, 4. Exhale to the count of 6, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Inhale to 4, 2, 3, 4. Exhale to 6. Inhale to 4. And exhale to 6. Keeping connection to your heart. Keeping that same 4 to 6 breath. As your nervous system resets itself. And then shifting to a breath that is comfortable for you as we bring in the feeling. And this can be any joyful feeling, any feelings of happiness. Today we're going to use gratitude. So as you're doing your breathing, connecting to your heart, bring in that feeling of gratitude. I am grateful for. I am grateful for this group. I am grateful for Melody for organizing this event. I am grateful for these people, all of you who have come together. Just go through, I am grateful. What are you grateful for in this moment? Grateful for technology to bring us all together. And then taking a nice deep breath. And as you exhale, gently opening your eyes. Welcome back. And if you fall asleep during any of these meditations, that's fine. I do it all the time. They say you get into a different state of consciousness and you're still having an experience. So don't ever worry about falling asleep. I had a shaman tell me that one time when I had to admit during his journeying session before lunch that I fell asleep and I couldn't share with him any experience because I was asleep. And that's what he told me. So I'd like to share with you a poem. So I'm just going to share a picture. So this is Sunshine. Sunshine is a miniature horse that blessed my life about 14 years ago. And a few years after we were together, probably 2 or 3 years after we were together, she started to channel poetry to me. And because of my lack of English language, I knew it wasn't me and it had to be coming from her. So I wanted to share a poem with you that came through her many years ago now. And the one that she picked out is called Stand in Your Power. Stand in your power and let the world see how truthfully vocal you can be. Now is the time to open your heart to heal humanity and the earth. All aspects of living come from love, and the energy is sourced that comes from above. Do not shrink or step away if you hear something and you have something.
Shield, humility, gentleness.
Oh. Can we mute? If anyone's not muted, could you mute? That would be great. Thank you. Your thoughts and opinions are important for all. As to raise the vibration, we must all heed the call. Reach into your heart and find your light. Your voice will be heard with all of its might. No need to holler, bicker, or shout. To find resolution and seek the truth out. Listen to everyone, take what you choose. Be clear in your intention and focus on those who resonate with you, and let your heart sing. Now the gifts from the universe will bring joy to us all, love from near and far, to uplift this planet and shift into who we really are. I love this little poem. So that's one of 80 poems she has done so far. She's pretty amazing. So I wanted to talk a little bit about animals' authenticity and how different they can be. So I have found that each species presents itself in a different way. And what I learned really early on with cats is that cats are such a prime example of being their true, authentic self. They don't judge others, and they honestly don't care if you like them or not. And they'd like to intimidate people that don't like them. Have you ever watched a cat go to the one person in the room that doesn't like them? Because they're so confident in themselves that they're just happy to show themselves up in that truth. And then people can make their own mind up. But they don't change. You'll never see a cat change its personality. You'll never see a cat change how it's showing up to please somebody else. And it's a great reminder, right? It's not that we're trying to make that cat be something it's not, right? That's the reminder. It's about honoring the cat for who that cat is. And then what is that reflection in us? What annoys us about what the cat does? What we love about what that cat does is a reflection. Like, why are we getting angry at something? What is it that we love? And that's all showing us more about who we are so that we can embrace who we are. And that's really what they do. And then you get the dogs. And the dogs really want us to see our truth. And the dogs that I've had over the years and the ones I've worked with are incredible at letting people know where they need to shift, where they might need to heal, why they're acting out. I've always said that when an animal is acting out, is it really bad behavior or is it communication? Because animals don't communicate verbally, but we expect them to understand verbally everything we say. So when we can shift into the heart realm and shift into the quiet and feel them and sense them, we're actually activating what is naturally a gift for us anyway, and we're talking their language as we expect them to understand our language. So it's reciprocity, right? It's inviting them to be fully a part of our world, but then we also can step up and be part of their world. So dogs really will show that. And my dogs have done that over and over and over again. So one of the examples is that my dog Dasher, I'll show you a quick picture of Dash. He was one of my most amazing animals ever. They all have their gifts. And Dasher came into my life to teach me about my neediness around animals and how to give distance between us. And within that distance, he helped me build the energy connection and the heart connection. And he would always make me realize that he didn't have to be right on top of me to know that he loved me, that he could be the other end of the garden. And if I extended my energy and my heart out, I could feel him. And one of the things he used to do is always hesitate getting into the car. And I'd get so frustrated. I'm like, dude, we need to go out. We've got somewhere to be. Could you just get in the car? And he wouldn't get in and he wouldn't get in. So one day I decided to stop doing that. And I took a minute and I asked why he wasn't getting in the car. And what I felt, right? I don't always hear stuff, but what I felt was because he was like my protector, he didn't want to be in the car and me outside of the car. He wanted me to be in the car when he got in the car. So we shifted everything around and we did it in a way where he got in the front and I got in the front. So we were getting in the car almost at the same time. And as soon as I shifted into understanding why he wouldn't get in the car, we never had the problem again. He just had to make sure that I was there and I didn't shut the door and he was inside and I was outside. They live a very, very simple life. And as humans, we don't. We live a very complicated life. So one of the other things that they do is that they invite us to find that simplicity again. They invite us to find that ease. They invite us to see where in our life we're multitasking or we've just got too many things stacked. And they remind us to take a breath, and they remind us to ground, and they remind us to really kind of honor the stillness and the presence that they live in. So Dasha was amazing with that. So then you come to horses. Horses bring a really high spiritual connection. They invite us to go way above and beyond where we think we can go, but they know that we can. And they invite us to really do that heart-soul connection. That's what they want. And they remind us, or certainly Echo reminded me over the years, that having an agenda, having a time frame, having an expectation were all things that were very human and very rushed. And it didn't give time for us to actually say hi to each other. And it didn't give us time to see, was he in the mood for a ride? Did he not want to go for a ride? Had he been partying all night? And he's like, I really don't want to go out. I'd rather just hang out with you and graze on the grass and enjoy just being together and not having anything to do. So horses are amazing with that. And they really teach us there's a whole other level of relationship we can have with horses, which is why now they're working with horses with autism, with kids with behavior problems, with veterans, with mental health issues, because they teach us how to sit in that presence, and they will completely adjust to the person that is with them. So they say that if you go out into a herd of horses, and I don't say just go out and find a herd and go out there because you want to be safe, but if you go out in a herd of horses and just sit in your peacefulness, the horse that reflects you, your history, or any healing that needs to happen will be the one that gravitates to you. And it may be a horse that's had trauma in the past, or it may be a horse that's grieving, or it may be a horse that lost its joy somewhere along the line. And it recognizes that in you. So there's another level of reflection there with horses where they know you. They know what you're holding on to, and they invite that ability to do some healing work around it. So these animals are amazing. And I just will say on a side note, rabbits are the most chatterboxy animals I have ever met. They do not stop talking. They have so much they need to share. It's hilarious. So every animal has its thing. One of the things I love to do on a side note is when I go into a Chinese restaurant, you know how they have the fish tanks there with all the different fish in there. So I have this thing now where I ask them if they're okay. And I do Reiki around the tank because I'm like, I think you need some energy. So I'll sit there while I'm waiting for my takeout, and I'll just kind of offer energy to the tank and to the fish in the tank. And I don't know, I don't go, did you feel it? Did it make a difference? Are you feeling better? Because that's very ego-based, like I made a difference. But I just feel it's just this way of connecting with them and just honoring them for being there, and I always apologize if the tank's a bit dirty, or, it's just, I don't know, it's a thing that I do, right? So we all have our thing. I wanted to share a story with you that really opened my mind and my heart into the realization of animal communication. And it's kind of a reflection, but it really shifted the entire world of how I do what I do. So I went to this person's house that I know, and I was asked to do a session with her son and his girlfriend and their dog. So we were up in the finished attic of their house, and we're doing the session. And I get visions, and because I'm stubborn, I often ignore them. So if the visions come up 2 or 3 times, I know it's something that's important. So I've learned this language, right, with my guides. And this picture of Crocodile Dundee's hat. I don't know if you've seen the movie Crocodile Dundee, where he wears this hat and it's got the corkscrews hanging down. And I keep seeing this hat. And so I said to the guy, does this mean anything to you? I don't know if it does, but it keeps coming up and I know I'm supposed to share it. So I shared it with him. It was towards the end of the session, and he said, it really doesn't mean anything. And so I said, no problem. I said, maybe it will down the road. Maybe something's going to happen and you'll go, oh my God, that's what the hat means. I said, just kind of have it in the back of your mind. The session ends. I go home. I get a text from his mom that evening. And she said, can you tell me more about the hat? And I said, I always get chills when I tell this story. And I said, absolutely. I said, I'll tell you the story. So I told her what happened. And I looked online for a picture of this hat and I texted it to her. And I said, this is the hat I can see. She texted me back a picture of her father wearing the exact same hat. And then she proceeded to say that the attic, the finished attic, was where her dad lived with them while he was elderly, and it's the room he passed in. She also told me that her son was like his favorite grandson. I'd never had this happen before, where it kind of got very multidimensional, but then it also had meaning. So there was all this interwoven experience with this hat. And then she said to me, she said, I really want to thank you, because knowing that he came through in that way makes me realize that he's doing well, that he's happy and content, and he's still looking over my son. So I learned from that session that whenever I go into a session or I'm doing anything for myself, the first thing I say is, I don't know why I'm here. Tell me how I can support you. Because I don't know. I don't know who's coming in. I don't know how it's going to play out. And I want to honor the animal that is sharing the information. And that's the only way I can do it, is to get out of the way and not think I know it all. So it was one of the pivoting turning points for me. And it also was one of those undeniable life experiences that said to me, you know what you're doing, stand in your truth and be authentic. And when you have something come up, even if you don't believe it or you don't understand it, share it anyway, because somebody else will. So it was another big lesson, a big, big turning point. So I have a little exercise for us to do. So I don't know about you, but over my years of doing my own personal healing work, there's been aspects of myself that keep showing up that I go, oh my God, it's a habit, it's a way of living, it's been my thing for a long time, but now I'm finding that it's inhibitive, that it's annoying, that it's getting in the way of like my growth and my evolution. For me, it was playing small. So I used to not be in this big energy that I've learned to be in. Whenever I used to go and take classes or do retreats, I would show up very, very small, and I wouldn't be my authentic self, because I felt my energy was too big and I needed to play it down. And whenever I was in situations where I was around other energy workers, I would shrink. And it was just what I did. I'd learned over the years to just play small and stay quiet. But it wasn't working for me anymore. And I really wanted to change it. So it was one of the aspects of myself that I started to really look at and see how I could shift that and how I could change that. And one of the things that Echo would say to me when he would hear me in my mind playing over and over and over again a situation that wasn't getting resolved, I was just replaying it and replaying it and replaying it. And he would say to me, how much energy do you want to put into that? And somehow, for whatever reason, it would stop my thought in its tracks. And I'd go, oh my God, you're totally right. And it would bring my awareness to the fact that I was doing this. And therefore, it would bring my awareness to start changing that pattern. And it worked. Over time, it worked. So I want to invite you. So any shares that we do like this, it's a share and it's by choice. So I want to invite you, if you would like, to think of one aspect of yourself that you're like, oh God, I'm so ready to change that. I'm so ready to shift that. And if you were to think of that one aspect, what would that be? And if you have something that it would be, I invite you to put it in the chat. What is that one thing that you're like, I'm so done with this. I've got to change this. And just add it to the chat. Oh, I love it. Thank you. That's a big one. Procrastination. Yeah, we all have PhD in that. People pleasing, absolutely. Feeling not good enough. Yeah, yeah. These are great. These are all really good ones. And I feel too that some of when I read them, I go, oh, there's a piece of me in there, and there's a piece of me in there, and there's a piece of me in there. So yeah, this is great because when you share, you're also helping everybody else. So fear of moving. I have a PhD in moving. If you need any help with moving, I've been doing it for 25 years. Reacting from stress brain. Yeah. 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 That's how the animals teach you to go down into your heart. And then the mind gets really quiet. And it doesn't like it at first. So I will give you that, but you can get there. So thank you for that. Thank you. I really appreciate you sharing. I'm going to bring up Sunshine's picture again because she is the one that wanted to do this meditation with you. Yep. That's what Sunshine looked like when I first ever got her. That's how transformation happens. All right, let's see if I can. Oh, you want that picture? All right. So she wants that picture. Why do you think she wants that picture? In the chat. Because that's who she was, right? When I first got her from the shelter, that's who she was. That's what she looked like. Let's just look in these chats here. Oh, thank you. Yeah, she's amazing. Yes. Yep, she did land well. Her choice. That's a whole other story. So, if you imagine that this is how she was, right? So when I was learning all of my stuff, this is what I was like. Fluffy and not lustering and not much energy and all of that. So we're going to do a meditation. And this meditation is about connecting to Sunshine's spirit. So Sunshine is very powerful. She's all heart love. She's very divine feminine, and she loves to help people. And she started wanting to do classes like this a while ago. And so I like to invite her to come in. So we're going to do a meditation where you can either close your eyes or you can look at the picture. That's totally up to you. But we're going to do a meditation where bring in that aspect of yourself that you're really looking to shift in some way, and invite her to show you, and it can come through in any of your senses, what would be the first step? What would be that first step to help you shift? She's really, really good at seeing this and helping people. So either, let me see, just here for a second. I just want to, she just said to me, all right, they've seen that picture, that's enough. So I just want to find another picture of her for you, if I can find one quickly. Let's see. Hold on 1 second. All right. So I want to show you transformation in action. There we go. Oh, that's not shared. Hold on 1 second. Oh, I got myself into all kinds of trouble here. All right. Okay. That will work. Okay, so can you see the difference in her? I think that's what she wanted to show you all. Can you see both pictures, or can you only see one picture?
I only see one.
Okay, which one? Would you see her with the shorter coat, the darker coat?
No.
Okay, thank you. All right. Well, we're gonna keep it as who she was. Apparently that's what she wants. So, oh, here's the other picture. All right. Okay. Can you guys see that picture?
Yes.
Yes, can
Okay.
now. Yeah.
Perfect. That's the one she likes to use for meditation. Okay, so thank you for your patience. So take a look at this picture and connect with her through your heart. And it may be again that you want to tap your heart or place your hand over your heart. She is all heart energy. And just take a breath and kind of drop into your heart like we did before. And bring in that aspect of yourself that you would like to start shifting. And you can say it to yourself, you can feel it. What does it feel like? You can repeat it with words. You can experience a situation where that's happened that you want to shift. And as you do that, start to invite her energy to come forward and ask her to help you with one thing that you can do to begin the shift. And be open to all of your senses. So you may not hear it and you may not see it, but you may feel it, sense it, or know it. So just take a minute. I'm just going to give you a couple minutes here to just see what you get. Just see what you get. So take a moment to thank her. And then take a nice deep breath. And as you exhale, gently open your eyes. And feel free, if there's anything that you'd love to share, feel free to share it in the chat. If there's any questions that you have from this, write them down and we can answer those when we do the Q&A. Go. Oh, I love that. Thank you. Beautiful. It's a great message to remember. Ah, yeah, she does. Thank you. That would be her. Yeah. I love this because it shows that we can all communicate with animals. This is all it takes. Drop into your heart and be open. She told me to stop limiting myself. Oh, wonderful. Love that. Thank you. It's amazing. Try living with her, though. She calls me out all the time, and I just love it. She's really taught me how to stand in my feminine self. I'm not very feminine. I like, jeans and a t-shirt. And she's really helped me to honor that divine feminine. And it's not about what I wear for clothing. It's about what I emanate out and how I show up energetically. And she's been amazing to really support that in me and to show me that divine feminine that's within all of us. So she's really good. And she's just saying now, she works with people remotely. So you're all going to get a recording of this. If you want to go back and redo the meditation at any time or screenshot the picture and call her in, she loves to support people. Most of the time, I don't even know she's doing it until someone tells me. So really feel free. She loves doing this work. Feel free to reach out. The greatest gift you can give someone is to show them how much you love them. Oh, felt as though anything dropped into my heart and body. Less heady. Great, felt her message. Oh, fantastic. She told me to do things exactly when I think about them. Yes, just get up and do it in the... Yes, yes, yes. Absolutely. I love these. And thank you for sharing. That's awesome. So that's one way the animals reflect, right? And she's a great reflector. And she's honest and she's upfront. She's a little pony who thinks she's massive. She's a miniature horse. But she is unaffected by people if they like her or they don't like her, because she shows up in her truth and her divine self, and she can be a bit of a diva at times. And some people don't like it, but that's a reflection, right? Because she's showing up in this divine feminine self. And I've had people say, she's so spoiled. I just don't like her. It's fascinating, right? And I don't take any judgment. I'm just looking at this going, oh my goodness, because she's being her true self. So she's great to show you who you truly are in a very different way to the way Echo does it. So one of the other ways that we can be guided and reflected back to is wildlife and nature. So I have found that some of the most powerful messages and reminders that I get are from wildlife. And very often I've done work with power animals, which is shamanic. But honestly, you can be out for a walk, out in your backyard, walking down the street, driving in the car, and nature will show up. And I always recommend that people get, it's a book by Stephen Farmer, and I think it's called Animal Wisdom or something. It's a little pocket book by Stephen Farmer, who's one of my mentors. And in it is like this 3-line message. So when you see an animal out and about, don't do it while you're driving or operating heavy machinery. But you can look in this book and see what the message is. And then what I used to do way back in the day is I would keep track of all the animals I'd seen and in what order, and then read the story that then unfolded throughout my day. Right? So they're always there and giving signs. So then you can track what you're doing when they show up. So are you talking on the phone to someone? Are you chatting about an idea that you've got? Are you reflecting on something and you're not quite sure what decision to make? Do you have a challenge in front of you? So for an example with me, Red-tailed hawks are a guide for me. Name of the book again? I can't remember. I'll get it to you. I'll get it to you. It's Stephen Farmer, and it's a pocket book. I think it's called Animal Speak, I think. So what I've noticed is I've learned to track what's happening for me. It's another way to stay present. And what animals are showing up. So red-tailed hawks always show up when I'm having something validated. So if I'm chatting, so, you know, Melody calls me up and says, hey, I've got this great idea for this workshop. What do you think? And we're chatting about it. And a red-tailed hawk shows up in the sky randomly. I know that that's a validation to follow through with whatever Melody's suggesting and go for it and do it. So I've noticed that always happens. Yes, thank you. Ted Andrews, yes, thank you. That's the other person. They both have pocketbooks. And I've noticed that eagle is another bird that shows up, and that just seems to be this amazing gift. Somehow when an eagle shows up, the bald eagle shows up, I just feel like I've been blessed and initiated every time it shows up. But what I learned about the bald eagle is that they are non-confrontational. So what bald eagles will do, if they're being confronted with another bird chasing them or doing something, they fly higher. So instead of confronting, they actually fly higher and higher and higher until they're in a place where the other bird can't catch them or aggravate them or whatever, because their altitude has gone too high. So in the past, when I'm aggravated by something, I start to think about bald eagle, and I just say to myself, okay, go higher. And I separate myself from what's going on, and I say, okay, go higher. And I separate myself more until I'm in a place of peace where I can then determine how I want to navigate whatever it is that's going on. Yes, exactly, Donna. Thank you. So, so wildlife is always a great way to reflect what's going on and find that place where you're getting these signs. Deer, for example, deer is being gentle on yourself. So if you see deer on the side of the road, one, ask them not to cross the road, and two, it's a reminder to be gentle on yourself. So track, where are you in that moment? Are you stressed? Are you emotional about something? Are you not breathing? Are you overworked, overwhelmed? Whatever it is, deer is showing up to say, take a breath, just ground yourself for a minute. So all these animals have the most amazing ways to reflect you and then give you the answers that you need. You saw a bald eagle and then a blue heron. Oh my God. Isn't this great? Thank you. I love it. So remember that wildlife is also a reflector. Remember that wildlife has messages. They show up. And sometimes, obviously, you see them on the side of the road and they've been, you know, hit by a car or something. Oh, someone else saw a bald eagle. Oh, fantastic. But know that that's a message too, right? Nature is what nature is, and it can be quite harsh with itself. It's not all beauty and lovely when animals are surviving and needing to eat and protect their territory. But that's all messages, you know? So anytime you see anything like that, look at what's going on in your life in that moment and see how this is helping you or supporting you in some way. Okay. So I have a really great story. I'm a storyteller. I have a really great story for you. Many years ago, I done a lot of shelter work, and when you can communicate and work with animals that have been ended up in a shelter, it's amazing the stories that you get and the things that they reflect on in their life. And some hit the shelter and they're like, oh my God, thank God I'm out of that house. And where am I going next? And I can't wait for my next home. And who are they? And when are they coming? And blah, 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 blah. And then you get others that are kind of attached to their past, or they've been heavily traumatized. We all know what happens in, you know, why animals end up in shelters. And so I used to volunteer every week and do 2-hour stints with these animals. And my goal was to help them heal the trauma So one, they didn't take it to their next home. And two, that they could find the right home because they weren't taking the trauma with them. Reflection, right? So where are you holding on to things that are preventing you from moving forward into something that you really want to do? And so it was really amazing to watch these animals transform and heal. And again, being in that place of presence with them and going, how can I help you? I don't know how to help you. And so I got into the shelter one day and the staff were so distraught and they're crying and they're panicking. One of their long-term dogs that wasn't getting seen and adopted and everything, management had decided to move the dog to another shelter to get a different set of eyes. And sometimes that works where new people come in and they get to see the dog. But they were really worried about this dog. She'd come a really long way from how she was when she first arrived. And people were terrified that she would go backwards if she moved. So I didn't want to sit in the doom and the gloom. I went and sat with the dog. And I said, okay, here's the deal. So the thing with animals is don't sugarcoat. They know, they're psychic. They're fully aware of what's going on. Don't sugarcoat, just have a conversation, which is a reflection for me because I don't like confrontation. So I'm learning all the time. So I sat with this dog and I said, here's the deal. This is what's happening and this is why it's happening. And the people around you, the staff that are crying and sad, are worried about your well-being. If you do not want, I got chills. I always get chills. If you do not want to go to this other shelter, you are going to need to manifest a new home that you want to go to before you land in the shelter. It's the only way you're going to not go into a new shelter. And I said, I don't know what that looks like. You're the only one that can do this. I can't do this for you, but I want to let you know what's going on and how you can get out of the situation that you're in. And we sat and I did some energy work and we kind of hung out for a bit. And then I went on to do the other work that I do and I went home. I get a call from one of the staff in the afternoon and they said, Michele, you'll never guess what happened. So they got a call from a couple that had seen the dog advertised and were really, really interested in her. And they fit everything that this dog needed. They fit all the criteria. And they said, the dog's in transit to this new shelter. So the only way you can meet her is go and meet her at the new shelter. So the dog arrives at the shelter in the parking lot. The couple arrive in the shelter in the parking lot. They meet the dog. They fall in love. The adoption is done in the parking lot. The dog never stepped foot in the shelter. Anything is possible. Anything, right? That's such a reflection that even the worst case scenario, there can be an option if you just, thank you, Carolina. When you just say it how it is and know how powerful you can be and what you want to manifest. I didn't do anything except tell the dog what was going on and what the options might be. She created the rest of the story. And they sent me pictures and this dog was happy and content and had this fantastic new home. So it was a great reminder and reflection of how we can really get focused on what it is that we want, stand in our truth and make it happen. 25 years, I've lived a life in the unknown. I never know. For example, I'm about to go into a winter rental for 7 months. I have no idea where I'm going in May. And this is how I've lived my life for years. And I always land on my feet. So I've learned that I don't need to know. And rather than worry about where I'm going in May, why don't I just enjoy the 7 months in a gunquit near the beach with my dog? Who knew I'd get a rental on the beach with my dog who's 100 pounds, and just live it and enjoy it. And who knows who I'll meet and what's going to happen and how it's going to happen. But it can happen. And this has been a years I've dreamed of doing a winter rental on the beach, but they don't usually allow dogs. So magic happens. It's for us to kind of step in. And as you work through those aspects of yourself, you clear the blocks and you clear so that you become a clear conduit. And when you become a clear conduit and you get out of the way, stuff happens, and I almost daily go, oh my God, that's amazing. Yesterday, I was doing a session with a dog. Was it the day before, maybe? And somewhere in the communication that we were doing, this dog's got some issues, having just moved, and they were trying to figure out why it was barking and why it was upset, and it was arthritic, older dog. And so we did a communication to get all the answers of why the dog was barking. And one of the things the dog asked for just showed me a vision of a wind chime by an open window. Something about the sound of the wind chime was going to help the dog feel more comfortable. And that was just part of the session that we had done. So then I'm on the phone with the lady whose dog it is, and we're chatting away. And she said, it's really funny. She said, because yesterday my partner and I were looking at wind chimes to buy one and bring it home, but we were worried about what the neighbors might think. So the dog knew the energy of the wind chime was there. Otherwise, I wouldn't have got that vision. That's how magical this is. And back in the day, I wouldn't have shared the whole wind chime story because I'm like, doesn't make sense. Why would a dog want a wind chime? Well, what made sense was it showed the people that communication is a thing, because I wouldn't have known about the wind chime, but the dog did. Oh, nice. Agonco's amazing. So it's an open book. It's an amazing world. And when you allow these animals, wherever they come from, to completely reflect and share with you their wisdom and their knowledge from an unjudgmental, unconditional, loving place, the outcomes are, you can't make this bleep bleep up, is what so many people say, because you can't. You have to get out of the way. So I'm going to stop there. I could talk for hours about this, but I'm going to stop there. I just want to thank you all for listening and dropping stuff into the chat. I really appreciate the interaction. And I'm going to pass it back to Melody.
Okay, so what we're going to do now is for all of you who have questions, just raise your hand and you're going to talk directly with Michele. So, who has a question?
Don't make me tell another story.
Well, you tell us great stories, Michele.
Thank you.
Because we can think about our own life and the choices that we make when we listen to you, and how you just step into your authentic self, what your life is calling you to do, and having faith that it's going to work out. So it's really lovely. So,
Oh, thank you.
does
Yeah.
anyone have any questions? How about you, Gwen? You're a nature child. You must have a question.
Oh, D says reincarnation, people to animal or vice versa. Thank you for that. Donna, I'll get to yours. It's a really interesting topic for me, reincarnation. I 100% believe it happens. I 100% believe that animals will come back. I've seen different aspects of it. I'm still wrapping my head around whether they shift species, but I really believe they do and they can. I once worked with a dog that would sit at the dining room table like a person and had his own chair at the dining room table. And it turned out that the grandfather of the family used to sit in that chair. So there's a feeling there, right, that when they exhibit something that is so obvious like that they have reincarnated as a dog. Very often horses will reincarnate as dogs because they figured out they can spend more time with you if they're a dog than if they're a horse, if they don't live in your backyard. So yeah, I think it's a really great topic, and it's something that does come up quite a bit. So there was another question there about taking on people's illnesses. Yes, 100% they will. And it's a reflection. So they don't take on our illnesses in order to end their lives, but they'll take on our illnesses to bring attention to that illness. And if we're aware of the fact that they're reflecting back to us, then what they ultimately want is for us to do something about ourselves And then as we focus on ourselves and we recognize that they've said that once we've acknowledged to them that we get what they're talking about, they will start to heal alongside your healing. And it's been absolutely incredible to watch that happen. So often people feel bad that their animals are taking on some of their own stuff, and it can be emotional as well as physical. But as soon as we figure out what's going on, very often I'll say to someone that their dog needs a certain supplement, and most of the time the people are already taking it. So the dog's like, all right, well, you're taking it, now I need it so I can get healthier. So they absolutely do. So, oh, I love that. A pool for me to release my stuff. As I did, I then became immersed. Oh, fantastic.
So Mary Kate had a question.
Okay.
Yes, I was wondering, like when you've been communicating with them for so long, do you find that you need a moment to like change your communication style, or do you like ground yourself or visualize, or how do you make that transitioning talking with humans to your animals?
Oh, I love that question. That's a great question. Honestly, now I pretty much live in a world where I'm there all the time, only because I'm so inquisitive about what's going on around me. But if I've had a very kind of heady day, so if I'm trying to put emails out there, or I'm trying to write a blog, or I'm doing something that's more kind of brain-oriented work, because I come from a computer background, so it's all logical and it's all head. So I took many years to figure out how to get out of my head and into my heart. But I do have to ground myself. I have crystals. So I have this crystal, and I just recently started using this one that was gifted to me. If you guys see that, it's really pretty. So I will hold a crystal that helps me to ground. Sometimes I play music. The hand pan drum, I play something light. That normally helps me to ground. And I have to get into my heart. And so I have to, actually, Stephen Farmer said, you have to just take a minute, breathe, meditate. Sometimes I actually work better when I'm sitting outside on the ground in nature. When the weather allows, I normally do my sessions outside because I can plug right in that way. That's a great question. So if you wanted some tips on how to communicate, I have a YouTube channel called Guided by Animals, and there's a top 10 tips video that I did of all the things that I had to learn how to do so I could communicate with ease, because it didn't come naturally for me. I really had to work the muscle. So check that out. Maybe that will give you some other ideas. Yeah, absolutely.
So Michele, someone just asked the question, how do animals feel about breeders?
That's a great question. Talk to the ones that come from the backyard breeders, and there's a whole history there. Honestly, it depends on the kind of background and the kind of breeder that they are. And I've experienced both personally and with some of the animals I've worked with and some of the ones in the shelters. So they're fully aware of the care or not care that they're getting. They're fully aware of the fact that they can panic. So if there's a dog that's come from a backyard breeder and it's literally like litter after litter after litter, which unfortunately happens, there's a lot of trauma with the mum dog because she doesn't ever get to bond. She doesn't get the time to really raise her litter, to be the mom, to really support them and kind of send them on their way. So there's a whole piece of emotion that's missing there. I've had 2 dogs in the last 4 years. One was from a backyard breeder and one was from a very amazing breeder. The one from the backyard breeder, I had asked a whole bunch of questions because I wanted to know whether they were backyard or not. Just something didn't feel right. They were 100% backyard breeders. And normally I would walk away because I don't want to support that. But there was something about this particular dog that I needed the dog. I wanted the dog. She had found her way to me. We were already communicating telepathically. She was very, very special. And I bypassed all of my red flags and just said, I have to have this dog. And, you know, when they tell you you can't go to their house, when they tell you you can't see the parents, when they tell you that they're going to meet you in a parking lot by a firework warehouse on the side of the highway an hour from their house, you can be pretty sure it's a backyard breeder. But this puppy changed my world, rocked my world, and was definitely worth giving her the life that she only had a very, very short life, but giving her that life and learning about what unconditional love really was her gift. And she touched many, many people in the 10 months that she was on the planet. The dog that I got after she had passed was from a very reputable breeder. And he told me, as I was trying to pick which puppy out of the litter, that he wouldn't come with me unless I dropped into my heart and worked from my heart. And so in that moment of being with him as a puppy, a 10-week-old puppy, that day of picking out one, I dropped into my heart, and immediately he said to me, all right, where are we going? And I went, oh my God, you're it. And I went back up to where the breeder and my friend were sitting, and I went, it's him. And the breeder burst into tears. She's just the most amazing woman. She burst into tears and she went, I knew that was the one, but I couldn't tell you. You had to pick it for yourself. And I'm so happy that you've got him. And he's a reflector of my emotions, 150%. Whatever emotion I've got going on, he has. And anytime I get irritated by him, he's like, no, it's you. It's not me. Just technology, because it winds you up. And he'll agitate me until I stop getting on my computer or on my phone, or and I get agitated. He can feel the agitation, and he does exactly the same thing. Yes.
Melody and Michelle, I think Carolina had a question before.
Okay.
I don't know if you want to, but I noticed her hand.
Okay. Hi, Carolyn.
I was just curious about the comment you said about rabbits. They never stop talking. What do they say?
They just reel it off. There are no secrets from rabbits. They know everything that's going on. They share everything. They're very upfront. They're just hysterical, and they're very fast, and they talk very, very fast. They're hilarious. I think there was another question about someone who said they are a breeder. I didn't see that.
That's Donna. She said, as a responsible breeder, I had a pup that ruined 3 sales before I decided to keep and show her.
Oh, yes. They know where they want to be. They absolutely know where they want to be. Are there any other questions that I missed?
Yanti has a question.
Okay.
We have hummingbird feeders, and they're so aggressively protective of the feeders. Is it really necessary in order to protect their territory that way? They are one of the animals represented in animal totem books.
Yeah, they are. And it's really interesting because hummingbirds represent joy, which is so weird. But they represent joy. If you see a hummingbird, I don't know about you, anytime I see a hummingbird, it makes me smile. But they're also incredibly resilient because of the journeys they make every single year. And so they also have this strength and this courage about them that says, mine, this is mine. And in order for me to survive, I need to protect my territory. And so you've got this duality with them, where they're just these loving creatures. In shamanism, it's all about the loving creature. But then also, again, as a reflection, where in someone's life do they need to set boundaries? Where in someone's life do they have to say to someone, you're just not jiving with me, or you need to separate or change friendships or shift friendships or something like that, because that's the reflection. Most of the time when animals reflect, they're actually reflecting things we already know. they very rarely reflect something that we're not aware of. We just don't want to look at it, or we don't want to face it, or we don't want to deal with it. And, you know, for me, the animals get right up front and personal in my face because they know I've committed, I want to be the best I can be. Yeah. Any other questions? What is the name of your tube? Oh, it's Guided by Animals. And there's tons of meditations on there. There's drumming meditations on there. Thanks, Mary Kate. There's all kinds of stuff like that on there too. So it's all animal, animal, animal. I'm just a conduit. That's my job. It's not really a job though. I don't really work. I stopped working when I left corporate.
And you all can find Michelle's contact information, her website and her email. It's on the workshop page on my website that you all received. So let me just go back to that and get her information.
Yeah, my website will describe everything I do and how I do it and the communication work that I do. And most of what I do is remote now, which is great for a nomad. But yeah, it's fascinating work. And I really am on a mission to show people that everyone can do it. I'm good at it because I do it every single day. But it's like anything, the more you practice, the more you open up, the more you do your healing work, the easier it gets.
So Michele, what about people that don't live close to you and they need some advice from you about one of their little critters? So how do you do that?
So I do it either by so I channel write. So Echo taught me how to write in order to receive. And so what I do is I start the session by channel writing and receiving from the animal based on questions that someone sends me. So people contact me by text, they'll contact me by email, we'll schedule an appointment, and the beginning of that appointment is a time to just be still with your animal while I channel. And then we talk about the transcript afterwards, which I send out so people have it. So it's super easy. I don't schedule online because I'm not that technically advanced and I never know where I'm going to be. So it's all very personal. I will walk you through the scheduling. We'll figure out a time that works for you and go from there. I support from birth to death and beyond. So it's amazing.
Great, thank you. Any other questions? Yeah. Well, I want to thank you, Michele, for sharing all your wisdom with us today. So it was really quite lovely. Next Wednesday, I'm going to be giving a talk on the spiritual nature of intuition and how it functions in remembering the beauty of our soul. So that's on the schedule for the following week. Now, the last week of this month is Carla, and Carla's here today. There's Carla. And I can't wait to hear what she's going to talk about. She has an incredible life and very talented musician. And so that's going to be really interesting how you blended that and moved into healing. So, yay, excited. Do you want to say anything now, Carla? You're welcome to.
I can't think of anything to say. Just I welcome whoever comes. And thank you, Melody, for having me. And Michele, this was beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Michele. Thank you.
Pleasure.
Okay. Anything else? Well, I appreciate all of you taking the time out this evening, being here. It was lovely. You had great questions for Michele. And it was really a very heartfelt evening. And I'm sure you all got something out of it because you're still here.
I know there's nothing worse than someone.
So I can't think of anything else other than, again, saying thank you so much for being here. So you all have a good evening and I'll see you next week.
Thank you. Good night.